about this soft pretzel recipe is that it doesn't take a lot of time. Most soft pretzel, or really any bread recipes, if you watched our white bread recipe, they take a lot of steps and a lot of rising time for each step, but this one does not, so that's why we like this one so much. You can have soft pretzels really quickly. So our list
it's delicious.
Yes. Our list of ingredients for this is 1.5 cups of warm water, 1 tablespoon of yeast or one of those small packets of yeast, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of sugar, 4 cups of flour, and then you'll need 1/2 cup of baking soda and 9 cups of water to boil your pretzels in. And then we'll use 1 egg for brushing the pretzels so that they brown up nicely. And then you'll need some pretzel salt. If you like the Annie's pretzels that you can get sometimes when you're at the mall or out and about, you can put actually pepperonis and mozzarella cheese on top of these pretzels and bake them so that you can kind of feel like you're out and about getting your own Annie's pretzels. All right, so to start with this, we're going to start with our warm water and our yeast. So Rachel, can you open the yeast while I get the warm water?
Yep. Hey Mom,
Yep.
go to the supermarket and get some more yeast.
Well, we have enough. We have plenty for now.
Okay.
All right, so we have 1.5 cups of warm water, and then we need 1 tablespoon of yeast. So again, we buy our yeast in bulk. If you have little packets, this is equivalent to 1 small packet. Okay, so Rachel's going to add our yeast. All right, we're going to give that a quick stir with a wooden spoon.
This reminds me of the bread recipe.
It is, it's a lot like the bread recipe. Okay, then we're going to need a tablespoon of sugar and a teaspoon of salt. Can you get a tablespoon of sugar?
This is the tablespoon, right?
Correct, yep. You can lift that up if you need. Make sure you get a full tablespoon.
Can't really
Shake it out, level it out. 1 tablespoon of sugar. Go ahead and dump that in.
Sprinkle.
This is kind of the same idea with the bread. We're proofing the yeast a little bit just to activate it. Make sure it's alive.
But there's no honey.
Nope, it's sugar instead in this one. Okay? So the sugar and honey would work for either recipe. You could substitute each of those out.
What is this?
This is 1 teaspoon of salt. You're going to add that in. Okay? So in here we have our warm water, our yeast, our sugar, and our salt. All right, so we'll give that a quick little stir. Now we need to start adding our flour. And just like we did with our bread dough, we're going to add our flour 1 cup at a time. All right, so we'll start with 1 cup. Did you see how much flour we need for this recipe? 4 cups.
Wow.
So a little less than the bread. There's 1 cup. We'll stir that in. Then we'll get another cup.
We have to do that. Right?
Yep, we should probably sift it so it's not heavy. Okay. Then we get 2 cups in. You dump that in and I'll stir it. Okay. Now another cup. Good job on your sifting. A little flour dust. There's 3 cups. Okay. You could also make these pretzels cinnamon and sugar flavored. So if you like sweet pretzels, you could put a combination of cinnamon and sugar in them.
Wait, so like the pump?
Okay. So this is our last cup of flour. Now again, just like our bread dough, you could do this by hand if you don't have a mixer. What I'm going to do is show you what it looks like with the mixer. So we are going to put this on our mixer. Yeah, for a little bit. We'll plug our mixer in. And this is the attachment that you want to use. This is the kneading hook of your mixer. So this is what would replace your mussels if you were kneading this on the countertop. Okay, so we're going to put that on and turn our mixer on. I'm going to come back to you in 4 minutes. So we're going to let this knead for 4 minutes. So join us again. So after your dough is fully kneaded, you're going to take it out of your mixer or off of the surface area if you were kneading it by hand. And we are going to divide ours into 6 equal pieces, or as equal as you can get. Okay, so what I do to make, come over here, sweetie. What I do to make these more even is to first divide it in half. So we'll pull our bread in half, or our dough in half. Then you're going to take each half and make them into thirds if you're doing 6 pieces. So kind of lay it out as evenly as you can, and then pull about a third of each end off. So you're left with 3 pieces on that half, and then you're going to do the same thing with this half of your dough. So about a third off of one end and another third of the dough off the other end.
Yeah.
Now these aren't exact in any way, shape, or form, but they're close. So get as close to that as you can.
I called that one.
Okay, so here, come over here. What we're going to do now is take one of the dough balls and we're going to roll it out on our counter. Now your dough has been incorporated with flour pretty well, so you don't need to worry about putting a lot of flour down on your surface. The less flour you have to put down, the better. So now you're going to go back to your Play-Doh making days.
You know, I never thought that pretzels would have sugar in them.
Yeah. And we're going to roll this out. It's kind of fun to play with it a little bit.
Yeah, it reminds me of Play-Doh.
It's kind of the same texture as Play-Doh, but what you're going to do is roll each piece out into a little snake. Okay?
Yeah, this is so much just like Play-Doh.
Yeah. And then you're going to take your 2 ends and pretend like you're making a circle up at the top. But what you're really going to do is twist your ends together a couple times like this, and then pull the ends down over top of your circle. So
wow,
that's how you get the pretzel shape.
I called that one.
Okay, so I'm going to show you that one more time. All right, so we're going to roll out our piece of dough. Again, it is just like Play-Doh. You start in the middle and kind of work your way down to the end.
I called that pretzel right there.
Yep. You want your we'll call this our snake of dough here. You want your snake kind of as even as you can, so it will cook all the way through. If you want to ring it out like a jump rope, you can do that. It kind of helps
just don't
level it out.
Just don't jump over it.
Right. Okay, so again, you take your dough,
Look, it's smiling.
pretend like you're making a circle up at the top, but you're twisting your ends a little bit, and then you pull it down over top. Okay, so we went ahead and did that same process to all 6 pieces of our dough. So now we have 6 pretzels over here. The next step is to take a half of a cup of baking soda, and you're going to add that to 9 cups of boiling water. Okay, so be very careful when you add this in. It is going to bubble up. Okay, so you need kind of a deep pan for this. What we're doing, it does, it's making a steam cloud. What we're doing here is boiling the pretzels first, so that speeds up the cook time.
And I want to put on the fan.
Oh, good call, good call. Okay, so all you're going to do is take 1 pretzel at a time. And if you have a slotted spoon, the ones with holes in them, this works a lot easier because it will remove some of the moisture. But what you're going to do is take your pretzel, put it on your spoon, and then drop it into this. Now, again, be very careful because this baking soda is making your water bubble up quite a bit of extra oomph in here in your pan. So be very, very careful when you're dropping your pretzels in and the baking soda in. It will bubble up a lot. All you're going to do is cook these pretzels about 20 seconds on each side. So we're going to, probably close to 20 seconds, we're going to pick up our pretzel, flip it in the water, let it sit for another 20 seconds or so. Meanwhile, you're going to take a baking pan and line that baking pan with parchment paper. If you only have wax paper, that'll work just fine as well. But you want to line your pan. If you don't have either of those, make sure you spray your pan really well with cooking spray. Okay, so what's happening is our pretzels are expanding a little bit. If you need to use 2 spoons to pull it out, if it gets too big for your spoon, you can. But you want to remove the moisture if you can and set it out on your baking pan. And then you repeat that process for all 6 of your pretzels. Okay, so we're going to come back after we've done that for all 6 and show you how to put toppings on these. Alright, so we have now boiled all 6 of our pretzels, again about 20 seconds on each side in the baking soda water. Now what we're going to do is crack an egg into a bowl. Okay. And Rachel, can you get me a fork, please?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, and we're going to whisk up this egg, and we're going to spread that on top of our pretzels. So you're just going to whisk this with a fork. This is what will be our egg wash, it's called. So all this is going to do is help to brown up our pretzels a little bit. So we're going to brush each pretzel with this egg wash. And now this is the step where you would decide what kind of pretzels you want to turn these into. So if you want to make them salted pretzels, you'll put pretzel salt on them. If you want some sweet pretzels, you would put a mixture of cinnamon and sugar on top of them. We can try a cinnamon sugar one. If you want them to be the pizza pretzels, you'll put some pepperoni and mozzarella cheese, just a little bit. You don't want to put too much on there, or your cheese will kind of burn. So a little bit of shredded mozzarella cheese and pepperonis, but you do what you would like to do on top of your pretzels. I'm just going to show you the traditional salted pretzel. You'll take some pretzel salt and just lightly sprinkle that on. Be very careful that you don't put too much on, or they will get really, really salty.
Yeah, that's usually at amusement parks.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to turn 3 of these into salted. Oh, I'm sorry. Into salted pretzels. I'm going to show you how to do a couple of the pepperoni and cheese ones.
I call it sweet pretzel.
Okay, and then I'll have to make up a mixture of cinnamon and sugar for Rachel's, but we'll do that a little bit later. So just put a little bit of mozzarella cheese on top.
Are you going to put these in the oven?
Yep. While you're doing this, your oven needs to be at 425 degrees for these pretzels.
This is hot.
We're going to bake these for about 10 minutes. And then you're going to turn on the broiler for about 5 minutes, just to brown them up just a little bit more. All right, so just we'll put like 3 pepperonis on each one.
Y'all know that Matt and Dad are probably going to eat
The pepperoni ones, the pizza ones.
Yeah, the pizza.
All right, and that's all there is to it. Our oven just went off, so we're going to put these in the oven again for 10 minutes at 425 degrees. We'll see you in a second. So now what we've done, we've cooked this for 10 minutes at 425. So what you want to do now is pull this out and hit the broil button on your oven, and that's going to be on high. So we're broiling this on high. So your oven rack will be up at the top. You're going to put that in, leave it slightly cracked a little bit. Broil that for, let's see if I can do this. Yeah, we'll just shut it. For about 2 minutes, and then you're going to want to check it because that's going to get pretty brown pretty fast. So we'll come back when our pretzels are done broiled. Okay, so it's been about 2 minutes while we've had this on broil. We're going to pull them out. They look pretty good. Okay, so you can kind of see what the difference is. You've got your salted pretzels. This one is a cinnamon and sugar. We put a little cinnamon on here, so that's what looks a little darker.
Yeah.
And then these are your cheese and pretzel, or cheese and pepperoni pretzels. Okay, so these are ready to go. These are ready to eat. And if you tuned in on our white bread recipe, we let this cool a little bit and we cut into it, and Rachel is just about to enjoy some of our homemade bread. So we hope you enjoyed Flour Day today.